Hello and welcome once again to the video. In this one I thought, well, a few weeks ago I did a F1 driver video on Riccardo Patrese, 6-time Grand Prix winner. And today, after a request on my channel, I'm going to do Ralf Schumacher, another 6-time Grand Prix winner. Ralf Schumacher, brother of Michael Schumacher, and of course father of David Schumacher, who's in lower Formula at the moment, racing Formula, and of course uncle of Mick Schumacher, who was in Formula One for a while. Now, Michael Schumacher and his brother Ralf Schumacher are to this date the only siblings to have both won Grand Prix in the history of Formula One. The only siblings. When you think of F1 siblings, I tend to think of the Rodriguez brothers from the 60s and 70s, Riccardo and Pedro. But only one of those won Grand Prix. Riccardo died very young, at the age of 20, and in racing. I think he was testing, and his brother Pedro, I think I've got it the right way around. Pedro won 2 races in the late 60s and going into the 70s before he died in, I think, 1971 in a race. I don't think it was Formula One, but yeah, he died in a race. So they both died very young, but only one of them won a Grand Prix, so it's not the same as the Schumachers, where they have both been successful in winning races. So let's go to the top up here with Ralf Schumacher. Now I need to test this. I need to make sure that it's definitely in focus, because if it's not in focus, that will be a bit distressing. Yeah, it is in focus. That's good. So he raced in Formula One. He was born in 1975, I think. Yeah, pretty sure, 1975. And he raced from 1997 to 2007, or raced in Formula One, I should say. So now what I usually do is I just write down their stats briefly. And because he won 6 races, I can list those down. I wouldn't list all of his brother's wins, but I can list Ralph's wins. So let's go with, first of all, let's put up here starts. 180. Wins, as I said, was 6. Podiums, 27. Poles, 6. Fastest laps, 8. There's no point putting down the points. It was 300 and something, but in 2010 the points changed drastically from 10 points to a win to 25 points to a win. So now you've got drivers with thousands upon thousands of points. So his 350 odd doesn't look very impressive. But because of the big change in points, there's no point in really looking at that statistic. Now his first race was Australia 1997. I remember that one well. And wasn't that won by Coulthard? If it wasn't, then I clearly don't remember it very well. I think it was won by Coulthard in his McLaren, Australia 97. Anyway, the last race was, oh, that terrible one, don't remind me, Brazil 2007, where Hamilton, in the space of 2 races, managed to, due to his car, basically, and team decisions, managed to lose the championship in his rookie season. But anyway, that was Ralf Schumacher's last race, Brazil 2007. And I'm going to list his wins over here. Should we list his wins over here? 6 wins. His first win. So let's put wins. His first win was 2001, San Marino. And then second was 2001 again in Canada. I like to think this is definitely in focus. Let's hope it is. Third win, 2001 again, Germany. Then 2002, Malaysia. Now, I thought 2003 was the year when he won most of his races, but looking at the facts today, I've realised that that wasn't actually the case, because he won 2 in 2003, back to back. That was their season when he had most chance of winning the championship. That European Grand Prix was the Nürburgring in Germany, the circuit. So there are his 6 wins. Those 2 on the back-to-back in 2003 really set him up as a title contender that year, before his season sort of fell away pretty much straight after. Okay, so let's go up here. Let me just see what I'm going to do. Where am I going to put this? I want to put his 2 I'm going to put these ones in here first. So 1995 was his first, I would say, his first proper successful season in racing. He was in German F3, and he had 3 wins. Second in the championship. Squeeze that in. He also won the Macau Grand Prix that year. 1996, he entered Formula Nippon. And I don't know if he still is, but he was the first rookie to win that championship, which seems quite something. Quite an unusual stat, I would say, but it's probably been surpassed since. I bet it's been done a number of times since. He also took part in the what was called the All Japan Grand Touring Car Championship that year as well. Can I fit that in? All Japan. Okay. All Japan Grand Touring Car Champs. And he had 4 wins and was runner-up in the championship. 4 wins with his teammate Naoki Hattori, who was also that they were sharing the same car there, I assume, in the All Japan Grand Touring Car Championship. But they were actually teammates, in separate cars in German F3. The same year in Formula Nippon, not German F3. Formula Nippon, they were teammates, Hattori and Schumacher, and then they were teammates driving the same car in the same year for that championship as well. So now we come over to the meaty stuff, which is the Formula One. So he entered Formula One in 1997 for Jordan. 3-year deal. He had, remember that, 3-year deal. And his teammate, I shall just put in brackets here, was Fisichella. He was he new to F1 at the time? I think he was pretty new. He wasn't a rookie because he started off in Minardi. Anyway, so his best result, he had a 3rd in Argentina. I think that was his only podium. 1997 Argentinian Grand Prix. 1998, Jordan again. And his teammate, of course, was Damon Hill. Now, that year was famous because of the Belgian Grand Prix. I'm still in focus, aren't we? Are we still in focus? I think we are. Maybe we are. Maybe still in focus? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I remember that. Let's just put the Belgium exclamation mark. It was a very wet race. It was the race where Schumacher couldn't see Coulthard. Coulthard was driving quite slowly in his McLaren. Schumacher came driving up and just smashed into the back of him. Schumacher was not happy afterwards, and I think wanted to have a punch-up with Coulthard in the McLaren pit, but was held back. But of course, I think it was a bit of that, hold me back, hold me back. I think if no one had held him back, he would have held himself back, But it always looks good if you're being held back, because it looks like, if I wasn't being held back, I'd be right in there. But I don't think he would have been. Anyway, he was most annoyed. So that was Schumacher out of the race. So the Jordans were first and second. I don't know whether they were first and second before Schumacher's accident or afterwards. I don't know. But anyway, they were first and second. Hill first, Ralf Schumacher second. And Jordan ordered Schumacher to not try and overtake his teammate, Damon Hill, because they didn't want, both Jordans to be wiped out. It's chucking it down with rain, terrible conditions. You can understand it. Ralf Schumacher was very irritated by that, as was his brother as well. Michael was irritated when he found out about it. But, Michael Schumacher had bad blood with Jordan anyway, from when he entered Formula One in a Jordan, and then, was poached by Benetton for the very next race after his first race in a Jordan. Anyway, that was Belgium as well, his first race, Michael Schumacher, Belgium 1991. So, it soured the relationship. Hill won the race. Ralf Schumacher was second. It soured badly the relationship between Ralf and the team, which meant that towards the end of the season, even though Ralf Schumacher had a 3-year contract, for 1999, Williams decided to make Ralf Schumacher a tidy offer, because they were going to get these BMW engines at Williams, and BMW wanted a German driver. Part of that was part of the deal, apparently. And so they would have offered Ralf quite a nice little deal. But of course, he had to get out of his Jordan contract. The second Schumacher driver trying to get out of a Jordan contract. This time Ralf. And it was Michael Schumacher, supposedly, who paid. Now, I don't know this first-hand or second-hand or third-hand. I've just read this online. But so supposedly, Michael Schumacher, I don't remember it at the time, I have to say. Michael Schumacher paid off Ralf's contract with Jordan. But I'm not sure if that's totally correct or not. I don't know. Not that it's a terrible thing to have done anyway. So in 1999, he was at Williams. And that would start a long stint at Williams. 6 years he would be at Williams. And his first teammate was Zanardi, who was struggling horribly. He would go to IndyCar and be supreme in IndyCar. But in Formula One, he had been, hadn't he? Yeah, he had been in Formula One in the early 90s. Hadn't really done anything, I think, in a Minardi. This is Zanardi. Zanardi in a Minardi, I think. He then went to IndyCar, won a couple of championships, dominated, and so therefore came back to F1 in 98, I think, and was just nowhere again. And then he went back to IndyCar and was good again, until he had that big accident, of course. But even then, he's gone on to be an Olympian, a para-Olympian, Zanardi, winning, I believe, numerous medals, including gold, I think, at the Paralympics in cycling. Zanardi, yeah. So great competitor, great athlete, but he never got to grips with Formula One. Never looked good in a Formula One car, Zanardi. Anyway, he was Ralf Schumacher's teammate at Williams. So 1999, not a lot really happened. 2000, again at Williams. This time he had a young upstart. this young cheeky chappy, about 18 years old, called Jenson Button, as his teammate. Jenson Button, I remember, was 5th in his very first Grand Prix, wasn't he? He was also 5th at the British Grand Prix as well that year. But was replaced the following year by Montoya. They didn't hold on to him, so he had to go to Benetton. Button. Anyway, so at this time, Schumacher was picking up podiums, the odd podium, 4th, 5th place, not doing anything spectacular. But then in 2001, again at Williams, this time with Montoya, who he would be teammates with for some time, Juan Pablo Montoya. And he picked up 3 wins, as we said over here. 3 wins, 4th in the championship. Excellent performance. 3 wins, San Marino, Canada, Germany. Great stuff. His home race in Germany. And I just remember at this time, Ralf Schumacher looking better and better, but because he was always compared to Michael, he still didn't look great. It's a real shame. He won 6 races over 3 years. Was a good driver, a very good driver. But, then there was his brother, Michael, with 91 wins and 7 championships. So Williams again, Montoya again. And this one he had 1 win and was 4th in the championship again. In 2003, Williams, Montoya, 2 wins, but only 5th in the championship, despite the fact that at one point he was really, midway through the season, he was really challenging for the championship. He had those 2 back-to-back wins in Europe and France, and it was like, wow, Ralf, here we go. But then it just sort of fell away after that, as it did in a number of these seasons. He would have his worst sort of third or worst quarter of the season would always be his last third or last quarter of the season. Don't know why that was. It's just probably just bad luck. But he always trailed off. And that was it. He didn't win any more races after. I remember I was in Bulgaria when he won the 2003 French Grand Prix, and I watched it with RTL German coverage. So it was German audio with Bulgarian subtitles. I wasn't good with either, unfortunately, but it was still enjoyable to watch. But I remember that. I remember sitting on the bed in the hotel room, super hot outside, everyone else playing in swimming pools, things like that, and I'm inside watching the 2003 French Grand Prix on German RTL TV with Bulgarian subtitles. 2004. Now, his race was ruined by a huge accident. In Indy. I think it would have been Indy, wouldn't it, in 2004? The US Grand Prix, Indianapolis Motor Speedway. He missed 6 races. He pulled 78G, apparently. I suppose just put that like that. Looks like 78 grams, which doesn't seem like a lot, does it? 78 grams. 78G. And missed 6 races. But still came 9th in the championship. Amazingly. 2005, he had concussion and fractures to his spinal column, minor fractures. 2005, he went to Toyota with his teammate Trulli, Jarno Trulli. And I say all 3 seasons, I remember them at the time, they were pretty lackluster by Toyota, but they would pick up 4th and 5th places, 3rd places. So he was with Toyota 5, 6, 7. He would pick up the odd podium, maybe, but it was mostly 4th, 5th, 6th with lots of retirements. And then that was it. That was the end of F1. He then left F1. In 2008, there was lots of... in 2008, he had talks with Toro Rosso. But Toro Rosso decided to go with Vettel and who was the other? Sebastian Bourdais, I think. So he might have had Ralf Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel in 2008 in the Toro Rosso. He also had talks with McLaren after Alonso was leaving McLaren at the end of 2007. But in the end, McLaren went with Heikki Kovalainen. Who knows what would have happened if it had been Schumi. 2 years later, in 2010, he actually got his chance to turn down a team instead of teams turning him down when he turned down Hispania and Virgin and Lotus. Not Lotus, the other Lotus, Group Lotus. It's very complicated. It was all about who owned the word Lotus. But there was in 2010, for a couple of years or something, there was a Lotus team that wasn't the original Lotus team. It was some other team that were allowed to use the word Lotus. Anyway, that's very complicated. So, 2008, let's just put here. In the end, he did DTM, German touring car. And he was, not tremendously successful. I don't think he won any races in all of that time. He was just picking up. But he was obviously too young to retire from racing. He was born in 75. So he was too young, really. He was in his 30s. He was too young to retire from F1, from racing. So he kept going in DTM. And 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 5 years. And he would pick up results, but nothing spectacular. And then he would finish like 10th, 11th, 12th in the championship, that sort of thing. And then at the end of 2012, he fully retired. But in 2019, he came back for a one-off couple of races in the what's it called? The something I've never heard of before. Prototype Cup, Germany. With his son, David Schumacher, won both races. They won both the races that they entered. So what a fantastic way to end off your career in racing. Yeah, you come back for a one-off. I mean, effectively, he'd already retired at the end of 2012. But he came back, 2019, wins 2 races with his son in the Prototype Cup Germany. What a great thing. Also, since 2019, he's been... where should we write this? RTL. I think it was RTL. No, it's not RTL. Was it RTL or was it Germany Sky Germany? Or it might be Sky Germany. Should I put that in there? Because it might be Sky Germany. I can't remember. Unless that's the same thing. I'm going to put that. I'm going to put Sky Germany, RTL, okay? One of those is right. And he's been a pundit ever since. And you see him in the paddock with a microphone every now and again. He's quite outspoken, but I mean, that's what you like. You want a bit of outspoken. He's been quite outspoken about Hamilton, but why not? You know, he's allowed to be. He's a pundit. So got no problem with that. He's engaged at the moment to his boyfriend because he came out at some point. I can't remember what year, but yes, he did have unfortunately, he did have quite a messy divorce apparently from his wife. But now it seems that everything is settled down and he's with this guy, I forget his name. And, you know, I assume he's happy. Hopefully he is. Ralf Schumacher. So there you go, Ralf Schumacher, brother of Michael, always in Michael's shadow. His stats in F1 always overshadowed by his brother. But that's just understandable, it's just the way it is. the only two siblings to ever both win a Grand Prix, Michael and Ralph. Okay, so there you are. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. If you'd like to subscribe, please do so, or like the video, or comment on the video, or even leave a tip on the thanks button below the video. But basically, thank you for watching and listening. And the F1 season is about to restart any minute now, isn't it? Well, not any minute now, quite a few minutes away, but not many days. So it's about to restart in Miami, so my videos covering those races will get kick-started. Looking forward to that. Okay, there you are. Thank you, and goodbye for now. I'm still here. I'm going to do a little pose shot for the thumbnail. Just a little thumbnail shot. So my hand just here, like I've just written something very interesting. Yeah, I've just finished writing something very interesting. That's my. Who am I? The only person on YouTube that actually does all this backstage stuff, if you like. But here I am. I'm posing for the shot. Okay. Thank you and goodbye.